All right, class is in session. Another chapter of atomic attraction. We're on chapter 41. Probably be done by the end of this week, if not early next week. And then, like I said, I think I'll start Evolution of Desire. But this has been a great book. Hopefully, people have gotten a lot out of it. Becoming more attractive, atomic attraction, and they're always going to be in the video list. So you just keep going back to them. We're on chapter 41, so there's 40 other chapters to look after and get more attractive. This chapter is your lover is not your mother. Correct. And I've said that, on dating apps, when talking to women, and, it's like, I want to get to know you, and blah, blah, blah. You like going places? Blah, blah. It's like, I'm looking for a lover, I want to do what lovers do, and that's bang. But women often, when they're looking for a beta male, don't understand that. So anyway, your lover is not your mother. I am not your mother, so get off my tit. Quote unknown. Women by design have hypergamous natures. This means that women are hardwired to mate with men that they view as superior to themselves. Correct. A lot of guys, I remember hearing hypergamy the word hypergamy for the first time, and I was like, what? That's not a real thing. And I couldn't believe it, when I got out of my Disney blue pill. And that was like in 2017, around there, 2017, 2018. And yeah, I was like, we weren't, I wish I would have learned it earlier, but, hypergamy, a lot of guys think women are always trying to, level up. No, it's much more complex than that. But definitely women want you to be better than them, even though women will try to say no, I don't want that, but they do. One of the best kept secrets is women game, and how women over time have definitely created the narrative, have maintained their image, and just been superior in the relationship/love game, and also the control of the information that they've allowed to, get in the zeitgeist or get into our culture. They have, even to this day. If you're red pill, a lot more guys became red pill after COVID and stuff like that. Some of the wrong guys, but again, there's still this. Even when I first got into red pill before COVID, it was kind of underground. Not too many people were, you tell them about hypergamy and they'd be like, what? Now you say it's a little more mainstream, but it's still not common knowledge. Most men are still blue pill betas. Most men. And, we're 2026 years after Christ, after death, AD, right? And we still, I'm just saying, I'm picking a starting point, right? And we're still, ignorant to many of women's ways. It's crazy. But anyway, hypergamy also states that a woman senses weakness in a man. Correct. And women can. And she will look to fill the void with a man of superior strength. Hypergamy is one of the main reasons why women cheat on their partners. Correct. And I always say this: you have the burden of performance as a man. We were, grew up in the Disney. I definitely did, and my parents are still married, and they're at 50. I'm trying to think. 1971, so 55 years. And that's what I thought. You marry your person, you marry a girl, and she's yours forever. And they write those sweet letters, and they before they're even married to you, I used to get letters from girls, and they would have one of the girls I would was with. She'd write me letters all the time, and she'd have her first name Jan, and then she'd have my last name. And it was before we got married, and that was just her showing that she wanted to be married, right? And they're so sweet and nice, but it wasn't forever because we ain't together anymore. So anyway, and that's one of the biggest things, and we'll cover that in a second. And when you understand the concept of hypergamy, it is no longer a surprise that a study found that 1 out of every 25 fathers are not related to their children. And it's probably higher now when you got 23andMe and more people are, taking, these genetic tests. So that number is way higher than that. You know, but women look out for themselves. Like I said, these are not. We're not talking crap about them. We're not. It's just they have, they have their way, and if you don't understand it, and you think that they're, sugar spice and everything nice, you're gonna get, filleted. They are not that. They are ruthless. Let's see. Or no. Okay. Hypergamy is the reason why you must be eternally vigilant around women. And that's true. You've got to stay in shape. I always say that. Do not get out of shape. Do not lose your burden of performance. And at times it kind of sucks because, I knew when I had long-term relationships back when I was blue pill, you feel like, oh, I can relax. I don't have to be out there in that dating market and, having to worry about, crushing it every day. But, I've said before, women keep us men. What women like in men is what make us better men. It is true. It's, whether you like it to hear, they like strong men, they like emotionally strong men, they like courageous men, they like physically strong men, they like men that are ambitious, they like men that are driven, they like men that can save their money, they like men that can take risks. I mean, that just makes a better man, whether you care about girls or not. If you just, let's say you don't care about girls, right? And you just wrote down what women like and say, go do that. You don't have to take a girl, you don't have to be with a girl, but just go do what this woman likes in a man. And that would be a great man, But because men like women, they do things not for them, but part of that is like, I do want a woman, and these things work, and that's why it's a win-win. If I do what's good, if I do what's masculine, and if I do it strong, then women will like it, Too often men don't get women because they're lazy, I mean, not all the time, I'm not saying all of them, but anyway. When you view women through the prism of your own relationship with your mother, it is easy to assume that all women are kind and supportive. No, only the ones that like you. It's true. And I've said this before myself. If a woman doesn't like you, she has no care in the world for you. She could care less. And it's not bad. She only can care. But when she likes you, she's a soldier. Women are badass soldiers, right? It is impression for a woman to love you in the same way. It is impossible for a woman to love you in the same way your mother loves you. Correct. Your mom had unconditional love because you're her son. You are part of her. She sees herself in you. She sees, her own flesh and blood, her DNA, right? So your mom is not your lover, right? So she has unconditional love. But your girlfriend, she doesn't. You had to perform. You had to have a level of performance for her. You had to be of service for her, for you to matter. And that's just the way it is. It's not bad. I know a lot of guys get frustrated, and it is ruthless, especially when you're on hard times. But it is what it is. It's not going to change. And we have our own ways too as guys. We have our own things that are frustrating as guys. Part of the reason men think that women are such loving creatures is that their mothers were so loving and supportive towards them. Yeah, a lot of men, but also because women have gamed us. Women are great image are image conscious. They're reputation managers, right? And so they have done, like I said, they've done a wonderful job throughout our entire history to control the narrative on their natures, right? Even to this day. A woman can tell, so many men can think, women aren't into sex. Women don't have sex on first dates. Women are pure. Women don't like sex. Women don't like to be hoes. There are good girls and there are bad girls. No. Every girl's a bad girl for the guy they want to be a bad girl for, right? And women do love sex. They absolutely love it. They're freaks, right? But, we believe, again, women have done a great job in managing their image. It's like, a celebrity, if you can think of a celebrity who's done a great job over the years, managing his image and not like Joe Rogan. I think a lot of guys talk about Joe Rogan. He keeps his private life private. He's done a great job on, being a, solid guy. And, there could be scandals and people have tried to come out and ruin his reputation. I mean, everyone's gunning for you when you're at that type of success. But just like him, women have done a great job managing their image, right? We're good girls. We don't like sex. Oh my God, we had to go on 5 dates, Any man who has experienced the sudden withdrawal of a sweet, loving girlfriend or wife knows that a woman's love is not unconditional. And that I talked about that earlier today in the last Atomic Attraction chapter. And that is true. I mean, I remember my first, I was like, my first 3 girlfriends were very long term, and it's crushing, especially when the first girl that breaks your heart, she's so like sweet, and you're like, this is so amazing as as a teenager, and I'm not going hard on her, but she did me wrong, which is okay, that we've all been on one side of the coin or another, but I couldn't believe it, and once once it all gets down, and I found out she did it, and I confronted her. She didn't care. I mean, she does it. We ended up getting back together a couple years ago, and it was great. It didn't work out, but we got to talk about what happened when we were younger, and it really helped me out. But then my second girlfriend or whatever, it was like that was my wife, and and she was great and so supportive and. Would just do anything for me, and then I could tell something was going on. Women kind of fade away, and I got mad one day. I said, "Hey, you want to get the hell out of the house? Get it." I couldn't believe it. Okay, I was like, I couldn't believe it, and you realize after a while as a man, yeah, there's gonna come a time, not you don't hope it happens, but you realize when it's happening, we call it checked out, talked about it earlier today, and they're just done. That's when they become ruthless. That's when they become kind of dangerous to you. They could care less if you almost keeled over right in front of them. They might call 911 for you, but they ain't going to stick around. I mean, if a woman has no more use for you, you're done. And it's okay. It's a feature, not a bug. I mean, when they're on their team, they're on your team like a hardcore soldier. So it is what it is. But yeah, it's definitely eye-opening, to see how much indifference they can have towards you. Let's see. Some men believe their partner will always be there for them, and yeah, it does seem that way. A man that's never had experienced a heartbreak from a woman. Like my mom was his first girlfriend. They met when they were 15. Like I said, they've been married 56 years, 55 years, something like that. He's never known. Now I'm sure my mom and him have had arguments and stuff, but he's never known that, that I don't give a damn anymore feeling that a woman can show you, when my mom said forever, she meant forever, I guess, so, but most men will come to realize that, their sweet loving girlfriend is, not going to be supportive when they have no use for them, but that is good as a man. We want women. When you're out here crushing it, when you're out here getting after it, when you're out here, doing everything you should do, you're jacked, you're taking your TRT, you're looking great, you're ambitious, you're taking risks, you're out there having a fun-filled life, you're having a full life, you're having a balanced life, you're just loving life, right? And when a woman notices you doing that because she's hypergamous and maybe she's with a loser, she's going to go to you. I mean, a lot of times we oftentimes focus on the times that we were we're not the recipients of that hypergamy. We're like the ones that are crapped on in the hypergamy. But there's a lot of times when if you're crushing it, you're going to be rewarded by a woman, and that's great. I always look at it like that. If I go to the gym and I'm crushing it and I'm working hard, and I often think, sometimes I'm at the park, and I'm doing my, soccer and I'm getting after it, and I can see some guys, they're just losers, and I guarantee that some of those ladies are looking over going, I'd really rather have him, and, some may, someday, hey, what's up, guy, but, again, if you're crushing it and doing what you should do as a man and being, you should do it anyway, but women will take notice, and at some point, a woman's going to say, you know what, this guy's a loser, I'm hitching my ride to him. And the only ones that are really going to complain, like I always say, champions don't complain. So be a champion and you won't complain, right? All right, that's all for this one. We'll see you on the next one.